Yeah, like I was saying, I'm just truly honored to even be mentioned in these awards. I've been in Seattle for so long now, and it's definitely home for me. I've connected with the community, the fans, and helped build Rain over the years. That this is truly an honor to be nominated for this, and I thank my teammates. Obviously, this is a team sport, and I couldn't make it here without them. And I think seeing our journey from 2013 to now, like I'm very proud of what we've accomplished together. So I think, being able to recognize this is really cool for me. And I think it's more so a team effort than it was ever an individual award. So I'm like super stoked to be able to represent that.
I know you're not one to necessarily talk about your own accomplishments, but I mean, the past season, I still remember seeing, the 200 caps is obviously important, the most minutes. Obviously, there was only one thing missing from that season, of course, but still, there's a lot that went on. Is there anything that you'd want to talk about with your season and that performance? Because I mean, the club through the last few years has been through a lot, whether it's, obviously there's the World Cup, there's injuries, such and such. Just I guess again, if you can talk about yourself, because I know you're not one to do that necessarily.
Yeah, I just think, back on NWSL in general, it's such a competitive league. So I think, when you're able to accomplish anything in the season, you have to be proud of. So yes, I'm proud of what I've accomplished. And, sometimes I like look back, I'm like, was the 200 games this year? Like I've been, it's truly like incredible to think about. I think I finally kind of took a step back looking at my career and really like appreciating, I guess, what I've been able to accomplish in a city for so long. I think it's really hard to obviously stay with one team in this league. So I'm very, very proud of that. So yeah, I take this honor very seriously. And I think hitting 200 caps, I mean, it just goes to say, one, I'm like so blessed to be part of a club that values me, appreciates me, coaching staff that believes in me, and a teammate that surrounds me and helps me be successful. Is all I could ask for. So I've been truly blessed in my soccer career that I've been surrounded by that for so long. And then being able to, take on these awards and honor it is literally, for everything that we've fought for, and knowing that I get to wear a badge that I'm super proud of as well, the crest that I wear. So I hope, to hit 200 more if I can. I want to keep going. I want to keep pushing boundaries. And for me, with the most minutes, most games, that's what it's about for me. It's not necessarily, that individual accomplishment. It's everything that comes with it and the journey that, it's taken to get there.
You've, obviously been in this city for a decent amount of time now, and obviously you've been at a few of the other sports teams' games around the city. I'm well aware of that. How does the sports culture in the state inspire you to be a better athlete?
Honestly, there's nothing like it. Like I know I've had my whole professional career up here, but I grew up in SoCal where we have a million professional teams and schools. So I get it. And there's nothing like it here in Seattle. Like you always talk about the 12th man. It's very serious. I think it's taken very serious. They celebrate that with pride as well. So I think ever since that we've come in, like in 2013, we felt that love. And I think for me, seeing how progressive the community and the fans are and how supportive they are of women's sports is something that, I think before we probably took for granted. And I think seeing how well it's helped push boundaries for us as well off the field, it totally inspires me to be, as good as I can on the field, but more importantly to, stand by the community, support the community through ups and downs that we face. So I think, yeah, to answer that question, I'm inspired every single day, and that's why I want to stay in Seattle, and that's why I've loved it here for so long.
And to that point, I mean, the women's sports community in this city, whether it's your team, the Storm, I know that there's multiple, the University of Washington's programs as well. Um, can you at least speak to the, obviously women's sports as a whole has grown tremendously over the years, and
Yeah.
is seeing a really positive growth in recent memory. But at least the community here in terms of women's sports, what's that been like in your perspective? Because I remember earlier in the season, when Sue's number was being retired, looking over and seeing like the whole team of the Reign there. So yeah, what you've seen of the women's sports community in this city.
Yeah, I think one, we have a common connection of being women athletes and, kind of what we face day to day. So I think embodying that and knowing that we want to go out and support and, highlight people. And I think you see the big stars that we've had in Seattle, like a Sue Bird and a Megan Rapinoe, the way they shine their light on others is something that's so inspirational and something that I've hoped to take with me as well and that we continue to do. But I think that's kind of just like the way that we see any growth is to support each other, back each other, be there for each other. And I think you've seen that in this city for sure. I try to make whatever games we can, even if it's just, social media and reposting, you see a lot of that as well. And I think, we talk about it all the time, being able to use our platforms to share our voice, or even just being able to highlight these things on social media and club to club as well. So I see the Reign supporting, the Storm all the time and vice versa. And we're talking about women's sports, but, the Sounders, the Kraken, Seahawks and Mariners, you see the support all the time. And I've been, at a lot of their events because of that as well. And they've been very intentional with making sure that that's something that's done here. And I think that just like goes to say like this community is truly authentic and really wants to help push women's sports forward.
In talking about that and you listing several teams and you also going back to, being here for your professional career, do you have a favorite sports memory in the state of Washington as a fan, as well as in your own career?
Yeah. Yeah, I probably have very many being here for so long. I think for the Reign in particular, it was probably a year 2 and 3. I think when we first came into the league, we like held the record for like most losses. Just like, all the records you don't want to have, but honestly, we talk about it and it's truly made us who we are. So those 2 years to come back and win the Shield back to back is truly incredible. And I think just goes to show you, one, the Reign and who we are, but also the community that backed us and supported us, regardless of what the first year kind of looked like. And I think my first like Seahawks game was probably, 7 or 8 years ago, but they played the 49ers and they broke the sound barrier. And it was like something I've never been a part of. Like it was, I was like, okay, this hurts, but like so cool to be in an environment like that. And it just, again, it goes to show you that, when you play in Seattle, this community shows up for you. And I loved that. And then I think most recently is obviously the Kraken. We've probably talked about this a lot. They share so many of my values and morals on top of being a really cool sports environment. And just to see how like within a couple years, they've touched the community in so many different ways and how big their impact is. And I think when you think about being an athlete, like that's also fulfilling. And I think being a part of something like that, regardless of what sport you play, but they allow you to come in and be a part of that community, has been really special.
Now, this one might need some help. Have you been to the Seattle Sports Star of the Year awards before?
Yes, I have. I think Quinny was nominated.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask then, what do you enjoy about being at that event, just considering how much of the Seattle sports community as a whole, whether it's athletes, different staff members, so and so, just
Totally.
having all of those people in one building. What do you remember from that, and what do you enjoy about that most?
I think what I enjoy so much about that is that we do see as athletes, we see a lot of faces. We recognize a lot of people sometimes when we're on the field, but we don't actually get to truly connect. We talk about this all the time. Like we have a connection, you and I, and that's been built over the last couple of years. But if we didn't get to do these events and get to like host these things, like you don't get that opportunity to meet the faces off the field. And I think that's really important for connection and like understanding where everyone's coming from. And I think it's really important to have that. So I think that's something I enjoy most, is to actually, even if it's a quick conversation, but being able to put a name to a face and what you guys do. And because I think without that, especially like from the reporting side and the media side, like there is no us. So I think that's like super important to see like those kind of staff members around. And then it's same with athletes, like especially in Seattle, it is like such a small sports community that we do kind of know all of each other, but to actually like get to sit down and enjoy like elite athletes doing what they do best and being nominated it's fun. Like we're competitive. We want to root for each other. So, yeah, I've been to a couple and just seeing, some of the Sounders boys and they're just coming up and like congratulating. It's like really cool to like, I guess, take a step back into like a smaller scope and a smaller lens to really appreciate those things. But I think for me, just obviously, I'm just looking at the list of nominees as well, like just to to know that like my name's even in those conversations is pretty cool. And to meet these other incredible athletes is yeah, it's special because being an athlete, there's so many great things, but it's also extremely hard to do what you do and be at a high level. So there's that really cool connection of an understanding of that.
And then just to wrap up, I want you to think about this one a little bit. If you could suit up for one game for any of the other pro teams in this city, who would it be and why?
Gosh, could it be like past players?
Oh, I mean, I just like whatever team, because I know you were at Champions of Change, so you've got some of that
Yeah.
basketball skill already. Maybe
Uh-huh.
go out there and be on a wing with Jewel, but just one of the teams suit up for a game, put Lou Barnes, in a different jersey for one
Yeah.
game.
I mean, basketball does hold a dear place in my heart. I had to choose growing up which one I wanted to play. So if I can step on the court and play for the Storm, I think I would cry.
Well, the preseason starts pretty soon. They got the training facility opening up in a day. We'll go talk to. I mean, we got to talk to Jewel eventually, so I'll go bother about that. But
Yeah,
um,
maybe we can set something up.
that'd be a really fun crossover event.
Yeah.
And then I know you talked about seeing the nominees, but is there anything that you wanted to leave off on? We've got a few more days to vote, right?
Yep.
For the fan vote. Is there anything that you wanted to leave off on, for voters who might be thinking about who to select in the women's sports category?
I think for me, it's honestly like look up these nominees, look what they've accomplished. I think it's important. I think sometimes you just see a list of names and you maybe their team and you like a team, but it's truly incredible. Like I was going through the list and seeing what everyone's accomplished, and it's super special. So I think take the time to do that and really appreciate the athlete for who they are is important. And yeah, I mean, being able to even be in a list like this, I think is just like super incredible. So I think, good luck to everyone. And I'm so stoked that I can even be a part of this.